You do not feel it. It will not show up on your standard blood work. But if this second system has crossed its threshold, it has already left a mark on your biology, and this system is at work right now. Most people, when they think of aging, think of a clock ticking down. They think time is the enemy. But time is just the backdrop. The actual destruction is mechanical. It's structural. In this video, we will go deep into the second of the three systems controlling how fast you age. We'll look at your architecture and at the one system that, when left unchecked, determines exactly how fast everything else breaks down. The architecture has two modes. This entire physical framework is managed by your immune system, which operates in two distinct modes. The first mode is acute, precise, and time-limited. A threat arrives, say a virus or an injury. The system activates, sends in a highly targeted response team, neutralizes the threat, and stands down. That is the system working exactly as it was designed. But the second mode runs differently. It carries no specific target. It holds its activation long past any point of resolution. It produces destructive compounds continuously, at levels just low enough to escape your awareness, but high enough to alter the entire biological environment they circulate through. It is running a low-grade, sustained emergency response inside you every minute of every day, independent of any actual threat. Just running. Researchers have been tracking this phenomenon for decades. They call it inflammaging, the convergence of chronic inflammation and cellular aging into a single sustained biological state. It now sits at the absolute top of the short list of primary drivers of biological age, and almost nobody knows it is happening inside them. When your architecture runs in this inflammatory mode chronically, the damage reaches every single corner of your biology. The compounds it releases, cytokines, interleukins, C-reactive protein, circulate through your bloodstream. They breach the mitochondria. They cross the blood-brain barrier. They interact directly with your epigenetic layer, altering how your genes express themselves. The power grid cannot run efficiently inside a chronic inflammatory environment. The signals that trigger cellular cleanup, autophagy, are completely suppressed. The damage accumulates faster than your repair operation can clear it. And this is the mark. Invisible on the surface, but measurable, traceable, and in most people over 40, already well underway. The question is, how did a system built to protect us lose its calibration? It happens because your immune system is a sensory organ. It reads your environment and adjusts its inflammatory output based on cues like resource availability, recovery status, and circadian rhythm. But our modern environment flips a destructive switch. It sends a continuous barrage of signals that say, stay ready, stay vigilant, stay activated. Alone, any one of these signals is manageable. Together, across time, they lock the architecture into an emergency mode it was only built to hold for a few hours. We live in a constant state of friction. We tolerate chronic sleep disruption. We sit for hours on end, removing the primary resetting mechanism the immune system relies on. We ingest the standard American diet, heavily favoring inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids over omega-3s. And chronic psychological stress keeps the switch locked on, continuously telling your biology that it is under siege. So the body complies, it holds the defensive position, and you slowly burn from the inside out. As a physician and psychiatrist in the trenches for over 40 years, I have seen this pattern over and over in people who are aging ahead of schedule. Their system lost its calibration. It was never given the signal to stand down. But here is the breakthrough. The architecture responds to timing. Your immune system operates on a strict circadian rhythm. It peaks and resolves on a predictable 24-hour cycle. Because of this, the morning hours represent a critical biological window. What you do before noon sets the inflammatory tone for the day. Here are key ways you can affect how your architecture responds and force your system to recalibrate. Movement. Sitting for hours is a biohazard. It completely removes the primary resetting mechanism your immune system relies on. When you move, your working muscle tissue instantly produces a class of healing compounds called myokines. These circulate through your body and interact directly with your immune system, forcing a measurable reduction in inflammatory markers within hours. Delivering this motion earlier in the day drastically amplifies your architecture's response. It is the mechanical pump that flushes out cellular debris and resets your baseline. Exposure. Comfort is a structural dead end. Introducing deliberate thermal stress, like a hot sauna or a cold plunge, forces your cells to launch an internal audit, repairing or clearing out degraded proteins. But it does something else most people completely miss. It directly alters your sleep architecture. Forcing your body to adapt to a sudden thermal shift triggers a rapid drop in your core body temperature afterward. This temperature drop is the precise biological green light your brain needs to plunge you into slow-wave sleep, also known as delta sleep. This is the deepest, most restorative stage of sleep, and exposure is the fastest way to trigger it. Your diet. Let's face it, most people eat a lot of crap, and worse, they don't read labels. So it's no wonder that inflammaging, that chronic, slow-burning fire inside your tissues, just goes on and on. When you buy processed food without flipping the package over, you are blindly ushering industrial seed oils, refined sugars, and chemical stabilizers into your system. Your immune system doesn't just digest this stuff. It reads these hidden ingredients as a direct command to stay in a state of war. By cutting out the crap and actively reading labels, you aren't just eating clean, you are taking control of the molecular commands entering your body. Hibernation. When you hear the word hibernation, you probably think of a bear stuffing itself before a long winter siesta. I'm not talking about sleeping for months at a time, but bears do one thing perfectly: they sleep deeply. Your system requires that exact type of deep, uninterrupted reset every single night to work efficiently. This is where you enter delta sleep, the profound, slow-wave state where your brain physically flushes out metabolic waste and your architecture executes its heaviest cellular repairs. If you are constantly waking up or cutting this window short, you aren't just tired. You are denying your immune system its only opportunity to rebuild the house. Stillness. In a world that never shuts up, could we dare to just call this last one stillness? Because your nervous system and your immune system share a direct, lightning-fast communication channel. When your mind is constantly racing, worrying, and redlining, your brain uses that channel to broadcast a nonstop message to your body. We are under siege. And your immune system complies by keeping the inflammatory switch locked in the on position. Your architecture fundamentally requires intentional pockets of stillness to cancel that signal. When you actively slow things down, even for just a few minutes, you change the message traveling down that nerve pathway. You give your system permission to stand down, stop burning from the inside out, and finally recalibrate. The architecture responds to a pattern of consistent signals delivered across time that tell the immune system which mode to hold. The people who successfully recalibrate their biology did it by changing what they did every single day, well before noon. But those morning habits are only part of the equation. There is a third player that sits above the power grid in architecture, and it is the ultimate master of your biological destiny. It reads every signal you send and decides whether you age or whether you thrive. It is the most responsive, most volatile system in your entire body, and what it is doing to your lifespan right now will completely surprise you. You'll meet the master in the next video.